Welcome to yet another engaging session of our scientific forum, Immunize Talks. At Human Biological Institute, we take immense pride in driving several public health awareness initiatives through our one of its kind platform, Immunize with Pride. Immunize with Pride is an awareness initiative dedicated to educating the public about vaccine preventable diseases and the importance of timely vaccination. This session features leading experts from across the country who share their valuable insight on key health topics aimed to raise awareness and promote overall well-being of the society at large. Today, we are delighted to have Dr. Siddharth Madhubhushi with us to share his expert perspective on protecting what matters most, your child's health and vaccines. I'll be sharing more about today's speaker in a short while. For the moment, please allow me to share a brief introduction of Human Biological Institute. Human Biological Institute is a division of Indian Immunologicals Limited. IIL was established in 1982 by the National Dairy Development Board as one of its units and was later incorporated as a company in 1999. HBI was founded in 1998 when the Government of India requested IIL to produce a modern tissue culture anti-rabies vaccine to phase out the unsafe nerve tissue vaccine. Our first manufacturing facility was set up in Ooty. This facility is one of its kind in India and rolled out the country's first varicella culture rabies vaccine in the year 2000. Today, we are a leader in the ARV segment with presence in around 60 countries. HBI has launched several other vaccines and became a major player in the human vaccine segment. HBI has been a key player of the pentavalent vaccine to the Government of India under its Universal Immunization Program. In yet another milestone, HBI introduced Havisure in 2024, which is India's first indigenous hepatitis A vaccine, aimed at providing protection for both children and adults. With the vision of shaping global healthcare by spearheading the One Health initiative and the mission to innovate, produce, and market quality healthcare products and services to improve and extend lives, we are committed to providing affordable, high quality products through continuous technical innovations to meet our customers' need. As a market leader, we have taken a significant step towards reducing plastic burden by 160 tons per annum through the introduction of eco-friendly packaging of a flagship brand, Abhairab. As a part of our corporate social responsibility initiatives, we have adopted schools where IIL provides infrastructure support and basic facilities, including assistance with the midday meal program. In association with NDDB through the Gift Milk program, hundreds of school going children benefit from daily milk nutrition. We have also donated an oxygen generation plant to Telangana Institute of Medical Science and Research. These are just few highlights about IIL. For more information, please visit our website at the www.indimmune.com. Immunize with Pride is one of a unique initiative which emphasizes that vaccination not only protect individual but also strengthen community immunity. Welcome to today's episode of Immunize Talk. This session is dedicated to a highly significant topic protecting what matters the most, your child's health and vaccine. Before we start the session, I'll go through one short video. So I want to give a small introduction of our today's speaker is Dr. Siddharth Madhabhushi. He's an MBBS DNB pediatrics. He has completed his fellowship in neonatology and is currently associated with Ankura Hospital as a medical director. He's also is a consulting practitioner as a pediatrician and neonatologist. Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks so much to Human Biologicals for conducting this small talk. These are some questions that are commonly asked by parents both in the ICU as well as the pediatric OPD. So some these vaccines are something which are constantly, it's something which is so important, especially in the first 18 months. There are multiple
Yes, sir.
questions that they ask, and I think it's important that we go through some of these pressing questions that they need answering.
Yes, sir, definitely. So we'll start with very basics, like what are the vaccines and why it is considered as one of the most important tools in protecting a child's health.
I think vaccination in general, as a concept, as something that we've been doing, is perhaps the most effective and honestly most cost-effective public health intervention that we have probably developed as humans. So immunization has significantly reduced the burden of childhood mortality and illness and death, and is clearly and very, it's a very strong pillar of childhood survival. So, by just exposing the child to a part of a bacteria or a germ, but a weakened part, we are able to give the child the strength and the ability to fight off illnesses and prevent severity. And we have seen this, the proof is in the pudding. We've seen how smallpox has been globally eradicated in the 1970s. We are able to, prevent 2 to 3 million deaths worldwide, according to data by WHO. But unfortunately, in spite of the progress that India has made, we still lose 5 lakh children to vaccine preventable deaths every year. And this is very, very important that people understand the importance of vaccination and timely vaccination.
Yes,
So,
sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, as you're correctly mentioning, like importance and like considering as an important tools for protection is very important. So, like,
Absolutely.
how do vaccines prepare a child's immune system to fight these infections?
So, vaccines are very similar to training, right? So, let's say think of it like training before a battle. It's like a drill. So, what is a vaccine? Basically, it's an antigen or a small part of a bacteria or a virus. So, that's what we call an antigen, but it's a
Yes.
weakened part, so it cannot cause and does not cause the actual illness or disease. But if you're exposed to that, automatically what happens is our immune system starts producing cells and proteins. Now, this happens even when we get an infection. So suppose sardi, you get a cough and a cold or any infection, your antibodies are made to fight the illness. But what
Yes.
if you already have training to fight it even beforehand? And that's what vaccine is. Suppose you're able to get the training beforehand, and if you were exposed to that illness, the body is already made antibodies, the body is already aware how to fight that, and therefore the protection starts happening. It triggers those defenses, and it is able to, what we call this training immunity is basically what we call adaptive immunity. So effectively what this does is your B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, there are multiple ways that this happens, but by training it beforehand, you're able to have an upper edge. So if you get an infection, you're able to fight it much better without any severity.
Yes, correctly mentioned. Like as it is an upper edge, our body also gets a memory. Like what we can say, it's a
Correct.
fetal memory. What will recall when you get
And yeah, so
directly.
in fact, they are called memory cells, So B cells, they're called memory B cells. So they're actually triggering that memory and that response, so that if it happens again, the immunity remember that, yeah, this has happened to me before. Let's fight it better.
Yes, definitely, sir. So like what makes childhood the most critical time to receive the vaccines? Like time schedules.
Yeah. So with respect to the timing, right? And I am primarily a neonatologist. So some of my babies end up coming in 3 4 months beforehand. So 40 weeks aana chahiye, they end up coming at 28 weeks, 26 weeks at a time. So
Yes.
this it's all about timing. So the first challenge with babies is that they don't have much of an immune system. Their immune system is just getting developed. So they don't have the real capacity to fight initially. Now, the first defense is the timing. With respect to timing, is the first 6 months, because that is a time where your baby doesn't have much immunity, but baby is getting a cheat code. What is that cheat code? The mother's antibodies. So while baby is
Yes.
getting breastfed, that's one reason why breastfeeding is so important. And in general, the first 6 months we are able to manage with the maternal antibodies. The mom is able to give some protection, which is also why some injections are recommended in mothers. Why so? Although DPT is given, Tdap or the DPT vaccine is actually given for mothers during their pregnancy, so that those antibodies will have a protective effect on the baby. In addition to this, there are some illnesses that are specific to a particular time. So, for example, pertussis and diphtheria are notorious to cause problems under 2 months. Rotavirus, for example, is a type of viral diarrhea that is very common in the first, 2 or 3 months. And that is when it happens. So, these timely vaccines are critical to ensure that if you do it at the right time, you will be better protected.
Yes, sir. So, like as you're mentioning the diseases, like is there any other major diseases like covered, so like which can be prevented through this routine childhood vaccination?
So, thankfully, over the course of the last multiple decades, we've had so many dozens of bacteria and viruses that we are able to get protection from. So,
Yes.
majority of parents will know this. At birth, typically polio virus. That's the only time. Majority of the time, we give a live polio virus,
Hmm.
right? And then after that, tuberculosis and hepatitis B. These are given at birth. And subsequently, at 16 and 14 weeks, you have everybody knows of this painless and painful vaccine. So you have a single shot where you're able to get protection against 6 different diseases at the same time. So you've got diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, H influenza B, hepatitis B, injectable polio. So all of
Yes.
these are, and frankly, a lot of parents probably haven't even heard of these diseases because
Yes.
thankfully, because of vaccine over the last 2-3 decades, we're not seeing too many cases of
Yes.
diphtheria or pertussis. Like when I was training, I have seen a few.
Hmm.
My professors, their wards used to be filled with diphtheria and whooping cough, right? So these are,
Hmm.
they seem to be a thing of the past, but this is
Yes.
good because we are not seeing it off late because of effective vaccination. So diphtheria was a very bad infection of the throat. Pertussis is whooping cough. So there are
Yes.
multiple things. Then at 6 months, you got typhoid, which we still see.
Yes.
Influenza vaccine is something people know of these days. Then you've got MMR, which also everybody knows: mumps, measles, and rubella. Hepatitis A. So unfortunately, a lot of these infections are they're not standardized across the world, but in India, where infectious and infectious diseases are still on the higher side, we still need to protect. In some places, like for example, Pune is endemic to Japanese encephalitis, and therefore
Okay.
there are some vaccines that are very region specific. For example, you go to the north, maybe you won't get it there, but in the
Yes.
northeast and Maharashtra and some parts of Maharashtra, Japanese encephalitis is something, meningococcal vaccine is something, chicken pox is something everybody knows about. So there are a dozen different vaccines, and it's very critical that it is given at the appropriate time.
Definitely, sir. So, like, as we are talking about the region specific, so like, how vaccines not only like affect like or protect the child, but not also as a community. How we can say that?
Yeah, so there's a very interesting concept called herd immunity. What is herd immunity? So it means that you are also helping protect others. So what does this mean? Suppose there's a single individual, there are multiple individuals at a community who are getting an infection. So the chance of that infection spreading to other people significantly starts coming down. And if so, think of it like this: if I'm protected, I can actually protect others. But if we start having people who start losing interest in vaccination, they're like, no, we don't want it, and the
Hmm.
number of people who are getting vaccinated starts coming down, then our outbreaks start. And this is something that we've actually seen in the Western world, unfortunately. So over time, people start taking vaccines for granted. Measles is a very classical example. A lot of people get measles, everybody is having it, there's a lot of herd immunity. So in cases where people aren't taking the vaccine or who are unable to take it for whatever reason, they still stand to get protected. But then
Yes.
these anti-vaxxers, what will they say? They say, now you see, I have not taken MMR
Mhm.
and I have not got measles. The reason is not because you haven't taken it, it is because others have. But if less
Yes.
than 95%, so in an example, if there are 100 people, 100 children, and less than 95% are vaccinated, then you're allowing that spread to happen. And that is
Yes.
when outbreaks start. So we have in the recent past had outbreaks of measles, we've had outbreaks of whooping cough and pertussis in Russia, in the US, all because this herd immunity gets compromised. So it's important that you sort of doing social good. If you're vaccinating yourself, you're also protecting others.
That's what we call, so like it happens when vaccination rates drop down, community also gets affected. What we
Absolutely.
say as an entire statement.
Yeah.
So, like side effects, if we come, like parents are too much concerned nowadays, like what to expect and what they should be concerned about.
Correct. So I
So,
think, yeah, I think vaccines typically the standard question at the end of it, sir, fever aega kya? Will I get
mm,
fever? Will there be pain? Right. So see
yes,
when your body is fighting that bacteria or virus or the antigen,
Hmm.
there will be a little bit of a response. So there are chemicals that are being made bacteria, and therefore there could be local site swelling. So the most common things are local site pain, local site swelling. There could be a bit of fever. All vaccines, you have the chance of getting it, but majority of the time, it's the DPT, right? That is the one, because of the pertussis component, you end up getting significant pain and fever. But all of these is very, very typical. But rarely it is possible that you can get very significant reactions as well, and it's important that we are aware of it. Okay, but we also need to remember that these are a 1 in a million chance. So the chance of you not getting vaccinated and getting harm from that infection is far, far more than the chance of a 1 in a million reaction. So this 1 in a million reaction could be as bad as significant fever. There could be seizures. There could be a hypotonic hyporesponsive episode, we call this. This is something that we see with DPT. So sometimes we just child becomes unresponsive. You can have an
Yes.
anaphylaxis, so there's a significant allergic reaction, so the child suddenly the BP may drop. So like I said, what we do in the OPD is that post vaccine we always tell parents to be in the OPD for about 10
Yes.
minutes or up to half an hour before they leave the premises. So, in case the child does get a 1 in a million chance of an anaphylactic reaction, we are there to take care of the child. But again, it's worth emphasizing that these serious side effects are very uncommon and 1 in a million. And you should always remember that the risk of the child being harmed by the disease is far greater than the risk of any of these reactions. The parents should be made to be aware of the reactions that are there, but they should also know that these are quite rare.
Yes, so definitely this differentiation they have to do, like what are the normal reactions and what are the adverse effects. And this observation, what we do after the injecting the vaccination is enough. I guess I believe that's the
Absolutely.
that
Actually, so the majority of the
entire
time you tell
prediction.
parents, look, you get a maximum chance of fever for a day or two, a little bit of swelling.
Yes.
Ice will take care of that, paracetamol takes
Yes.
care of that. Only if it starts exceeding that, right? So fever is not getting better. 2, 3 days, the fever is still very high grade. Any seizures will have to be taken seriously, without a doubt.
Yes. So like as we are speaking about it, so timely vaccination, just as important as vaccination coverage. So why is important given so much important to the timely vaccination?
Yeah, I think timeliness is there for two reasons. Because majority of the time, one is the immunity part of the baby itself. The baby's immunity is really not there. So the first 6 months, we are partially dependent only on mother's antibodies. We have to make sure that the baby is currently completely open to all of these infections. So it's important that they receive it at the right time. The other importance is there are some vaccines that are very, very important only at that particular age group. Like I cite the example of rotavirus again, because
Yes.
rotavirus, if we don't give the vaccine after 15 or 20 weeks, there is no point giving it. And it is recommended that you don't have to continue it at all, because the infection happens at that particular time at its
Hmm.
peak. Similarly, for pertussis as well and diphtheria, it is typically there at that particular time.
Hmm.
There are some vaccines which will provide you excellent coverage as well. So there are some live vaccines that you just give 1 or 2 shots, like varicella, fantastic vaccines. You give 2 shots and you're for life you're taken care of. So you
Hmm.
just take those two and you're sort of sorted.
Hmm.
But if for other vaccines like kill vaccine, like DPT, for example, the it wanes, your memory wanes, and the immunity just wanes. So it's important that you get those timely vaccines. You get topped up every 5 years or 10 years to ensure
Yes.
that you are still protected. And that is why it is important. Those boosters are so important, and you do it at the right time. It's just not enough that you do everything. You also need to do it at the right time.
Yeah, right time, exactly. So, but this question arises like if we miss also the doses, the delayed doses of the vaccines, what
Often,
kind
this
of
is also another big challenge in the OPD, because we should try to delay as much. We should avoid to delay as much as possible. But often there could be various reasons. We have to be practical. Maybe the
yeah.
child was sick. Then maybe the parents were elsewhere. They had some important work. They're not able to come back. So it's important that we tell them. So it's very important to reiterate when they need to come back, right?
Yes.
Because if they do delay, you are running the risk of getting an infection. And like I said,
Yes.
a lot of vaccines you need to get boosters, because your protection is going to be that 95 or close to 100% only if those boosters are given properly. Like hepatitis B, we recommend about 3 shots. The third shot at 6 months is very, very important. So if you give a 0, 1, 6, or if you're giving it at 6, 10, 14, if you give the third shot, that is the third shot will ensure that you're reaching that 99%. If you miss those timely shots and if you're delaying or miss those shots, you will be under the assumption, Array, I've already given that vaccine. But in reality, you're not truly protected and you still run the risk of getting the infection because you've given only a partial vaccination.
So therefore, vaccine schedule like contribute to a stronger and long-lasting immunity also.
Absolutely. So it's very important that we follow up and make sure that everyone is covered. And you have to speak to your pediatrician to ensure that whether the boosters are getting covered properly or not.
So if we have missed the like few parents don't remember like where they have got it or not. So like you must be encountering few of those cases like how they deal with it, like how to convince them or how to
So
counsel them.
one important thing is I always make it a practice. So we need to have a vaccine card that is fixed. A lot of times later, when they go into college, those vaccine cards are important, especially when they're going abroad. So it's important that they maintain their chart. But it's not just for abroad. Even now, we want to make sure that everything is covered. So what we typically do is actually take the sticker, put the sticker on the OPD chart itself. Sometimes mistakes can happen. Maybe the doctor has forgotten to write that the vaccine has been given. But if
Yeah.
the sticker is there, you know it has been given, and that is one thing that will ensure that you are never missing it. So even if the date has been given incorrectly or you've missed out for whatever reason, they have not got their previous file, the sticker being there will ensure that it has been given. And it is important that the doctor takes 2 minutes to just go back, make sure that the previous vaccines have been covered, whether the same booster vaccine is being given. See, a lot of times, 1, 2 vaccines are given, and the third booster that needs to be given, some other vaccine may be available. It's always ideal if the same vaccine is given. So it is
Yeah.
important that the parents get the OPD card with them, and I think that will ensure that you're not missing out. And it can happen for various reasons. There could be an illness, maybe that perhaps the child is admitted. There are
Yeah.
some cases where there are some medicines like steroids or immunoglobulins that need to be given, and there are some vaccines that cannot be given for a particular period of time. So there are very mandated called catch-up vaccines that are available. So there are very instances that are given that if the child has not come with the vaccine for this particular time, what needs to be done. So what are the mandated number of shots that need to be given if vaccine is missed. So all of this data is there, but we need to make sure that it is followed.
So like if they miss the sketchy vaccinations, suppose that upcoming vaccines also can be tracked through this.
Absolutely.
So and like what steps should parents take? Like already they have missed. Now next what?
One thing is they need to be clear that they've missed because the dates are important. So it's very important that typically all of us will write the vaccine card, the due date for the next vaccine. Now, in case they have missed, it's important that they quickly speak with the pediatrician and say, look, I have missed it. Is it okay? What needs to be done? Like, for example, measles vaccine, for example, is something very critical. We try to make sure by 9 months it is given, right? Because there's a higher chance after 6 months, the immunity is also less. So there are some vaccines we may be okay about delaying by a few days or a few weeks. But if there's something there, it is important that they do speak with their doctor, the healthcare provider, to understand whether it is okay to delay it. Suppose it is very, very critical that they have to give the vaccine, it is always best discussed with the doctor once.
So you must be encountering like the parents on a daily basis. So what are the like myths they have, like harmful myths, which parents should stop believing immediately?
So I think the first thing and unfortunate myth or misconception parents have is that the vaccines are harmful. Vaccines can cause autism, and unfortunately, this autism and because of late, especially post COVID, the number of autism cases have picked up or been able to diagnose them better. The cases have gone up, and because of this 1990 study by a then doctor called Dr. Wakefield, his data suggested in a very small group that the vaccine caused autism. But then when they went through the data again, they had to remove the study because it had no bearing and the data was absolutely false. In fact, he later admitted that he falsified the data, right? And unfortunately, to this day, the same study by Dr. Wakefield is parroted by everybody. And they say, look, vaccines cause autism. And then a lot of parents, unfortunately, because of the fear, right? They say they don't want to take the vaccine at all. I think it's very clear. We have like tons and tons of data from across the world, both Western world and Indian world, that there is absolutely no and vaccination, right? Other common misconception, of course, is that it's got a lot of unsafe ingredients. It's got a lot of harmful toxins. They talk about formaldehyde. They talk about mercury, aluminum salts. I think it's imperative that we understand that some of these the quantity is so less. It's absolutely safe.
Hmm.
You have more formaldehyde in your body naturally than what is there in the vaccine. And even
Exactly.
the mercury that we talked about, it's no longer in use, but even that was in very very safe limits. But of course that has is no longer there majority of the time that's been removed. Aluminum salts are also used as an adjuvant, but again, if you look at the amount of aluminum that is there in a liter of formula milk, parents are happy giving formula, but they are worried about the little bit of aluminum which is there in vaccines. So I think it's important that they understand that these are at very very low doses, and these are often there to boost the response of the antigen, and these are very very safe. The other misconception often that I hear is, doctor, it's got too many vaccines. Immunity, it should happen on its own. There are
Hmm.
diseases aren't even there in India. We don't even see it. Why should it be given?
Yeah.
Or it should happen on its own. So remember that we are on a day-to-day basis. When we take a walk down the road, we are exposed to more antigens, from pollen, dust, so many things that than what we see in our vaccines. So I think it's
Yes.
again important that we're not going to overwhelm our immune system. And these diseases aren't necessary. These diseases are gone, phenomenized, because we've been vaccinating really well over the last few decades. The reason why people
Yes.
don't know H influenza, the reason why people don't know about whooping cough anymore is because we don't see it in daily practice. And we should be really, really thankful that it isn't available anymore, right? And
Yes.
again, many people feel that they can cause the disease. It's not right. So again, remember that it is going to drill. It's like a training for the actual disease. You may get a mild form of the disease at times, like post measles. You can get a small measles like reaction, but remember, it's going to be really 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 safe. And like I told you, 1 in a million chance of a severe adverse reaction. The chance of the child getting harmed by the infection is far more. And it's important that, especially this autism link and the infection wala link, we really need to stop. But it's also important we have a patient here, we understand why the parents are anxious, and we answer them in a very scientific manner. Suppose we just going to say, "Arey, what are you saying? This is rubbish." They have every right to know, because at the end of the day, it is their child. I think it's very important that you actually understand why we're doing all of this. What we need is a patient listen, and we need to talk to them once.
Definitely, sir. Like, I believe that healthcare practitioners have that parental awareness. What they do is very important in nowadays, and like we have to make them aware. Of course, that's right to information.
And there's a lot of information. There's an information overload online, right? A lot of people, a lot of misinformation, unfortunately. So I think it's important as doctors that we take responsibility to listen them out, try to understand their fear, and try to answer them in the most scientific basis possible. Because at the end of the day, this is all data that we have. There is nothing that we're trying to hide. The data is in plain sight. If we're able to show them what science says, they should get convinced. You just require those extra 5 minutes of patient listening, and an additional 5 minutes of just telling them what their fears are. Now, that itself should take care of things.
So, like premature babies, as you said, like many small babies will be around you. So, premature babies will also follow this regular vaccine schedule.
Absolutely. So I think this is a fantastic question because it's close to my heart, because majority of my babies are often with me for 1 2 months at a time. So this is one thing where it's very important these days because of IVF treatment and all of that. Often a lot of babies end up coming well beforehand. So one
Yeah.
concept I want everybody to understand is that the preterm
Hmm.
babies, the schedule is going to remain the same, and we try to maintain their vaccines based on their chronological age. Now there is a quick concept that I want people to understand, something called chronological age and corrected age. Chronological age means, let's assume it is a baby who's 2 months preterm. Let's keep it simple, 2 months preterm. So if after 2 months after the baby is born, right, the baby was born 2 months early. So the corrected age would
Yeah.
be the baby is just born, because 2 months jaldi aaya and the baby is now crossed those
Hmm.
2 months. So technically due date was around that time.
Yes.
So corrected age
Hmm.
would be maybe 0 days or the first week. But in reality,
Hmm.
baby is
Hmm.
already out for 2 months.
2 months.
For
Yeah.
vaccine, we want to make sure that we follow the chronological age. We want to make sure that it is based on when the child was born and not their age, what they should have been. The other important
Hmm.
thing is that a lot of practitioners still continue to give vaccine based on weight, based on their gestation age. And this was based on some data which was there before. So still to this day, there are multiple practitioners who give vaccines only after the baby is 2 kilograms. And I find this a big problem, particularly in the public sector, where because they aren't exposed to much smaller babies there, that array this baby is only 2 kilos. How can I give DPT vaccine? And they often do not vaccinate. But remember, this preterm low birth weight group are the most vulnerable because they've come out very early. They do not have the same protection from the mother as well. So, in fact, these are the main group of babies that need to be vaccinated early. I'm actually not worried about 3 kilo baby. Worst case scenario,
Hmm.
the child is eating well and baby is well protected by the mother, right? But these smaller ones, as it is their preterm, their immune system is barely nothing to talk about, and you are delaying vaccines further. Array, let's wait for 2 kilos and 2.5 kilos. So let's be
Hmm.
very clear. We need to vaccine as soon as possible. The weight criteria needs to really be thrown out the window. We have to ensure that it is gone. So most of the data suggests that after 34 weeks, we can vaccinate. There's no problem at all. The only vaccine that is shown to give a little bit of trouble is hepatitis B. Hepatitis B alone, the antibody titers that are noticed after the first vaccine is less. So the first dose is not counted there. So either way, we give 3 vaccines after. So we shouldn't have any problem with the regular schedule that we've been given. But the first shot we need to be ignoring. We need to give 3 other shots after. Apart from that, they need to be given the same dose, the same schedule, same chronological age, and we should not be looking at any criteria for weight at all.
Yes, sir. Definitely. They have come early, so they are more prone to infections, what we understand. So I was having one question in the chat box like, Doctor, some parents feel that giving multiple vaccines might weaken a child's natural immunity. Is there any scientific basis of this concern?
So, like I mentioned before, we are constantly exposed to multiple antigens at the same time all the time. So, you just take a small stroll down the road. Okay, we all
Hmm.
know about AQI and how it is going up and all of that. We are exposed to multiple antigens. Our immune system is busy constantly. So just
Yes.
because we're introducing 3 or 6 vaccines at a time, they're able to work wonderfully well to ensure that it is not causing any confusion amongst the baby's immune system, and it is quite safe to give. And it is frankly much better for the baby as well. Imagine at a time we had to give multiple shots. Here on the same day, I'm able to protect the baby against not four, not five, at a time 6, 7, 8 different diseases in one single, and on a single day. So this is something that is quite common and does not weaken the immune system.
Yes, sir. So one more question is that like we have missed the vaccination, and now when we reach the pediatrician, like what will be this schedule? Like when we will have our
So this
vaccinations?
this this will be discussed with the pediatrician, because every vaccine has a slightly different way of how the catch-up vaccine works,
Yes.
right? So sometimes if we are too delayed, we may not be able to give the vaccine at all. If we are delayed and we've never given it once, sometimes the number of boosters that are required are less. So there are some vaccines, if I give it under 2 years, I need to give 2 shots. But if I give it after 2 years, it's a single shot. So
Yes.
it's on a case by case basis, but it's very important that you don't take that decision and say, "Chalo, let's take everything." It's important that you speak with the healthcare provider, try to understand which vaccine, and there is enough data, and we will be able to identify and tell you which is the best way to catch up the missed vaccines.
Yes, sir, definitely. So like I would be interested to know your take-home message, like for our audience, like what will
Yeah,
be the
I think,
entire
yeah,
take-home
just
message?
to sort of summarize everything we've talked about, one thing is, let's be very clear, vaccines save lives. We talked about herd immunity. Not only are you helping yourself, but you're also helping others. So you're doing good, right? Other importance, it's important that we vaccinate on time and on schedule. It's not just important that you cover everything. Timely vaccinations, the primary and the booster vaccinations need to be given at an appropriate time for a better response. If you give the boosters whenever you want, the required booster response may not be there. Okay. Vaccines are very safe. We have enough vaccines, do not cause autism. There is a 1 in a million chance of a very serious reaction that may happen. It's important that the parents understand that the actual vaccine, the actual infection rather the actual infection can cause far more harm, and therefore they should not be worried about a 1 in a million chance of a sort of a reaction. All of these myths need to be constantly discussed, and I think it's important that the doctors also have the responsibility to patiently listen to the parents when they talk to us and they have their issues, because it's quite natural that they may be anxious about this. They should not just throw their concerns out the window and say, look, it's important, if you don't want to take it, don't take it. No, no, I think that's incorrect. We have the moral responsibility to ensure that we talk science to them, we tell them this is what it is, and it is 100% possible that we can convince parents, right? It's important that the parents work with the doctors to make sure that the vaccines happen on time. Getting their vaccine cards to the OPD every time is important, so that the dates and the stickers are kept, so we get the batch numbers. If there's a problem, we're able to trace back. We're also able to have proof that the vaccine has been given or not. And at the end of the day, you're vaccinating the future, your child's health, your child's future. The next generation is going to be that much healthier because of the vaccines that we're giving today. We've seen this over the last 3 4 decades. Children used to die of measles. We don't hear of children dying of measles these days. We don't see children dying of diphtheria these days. All of this is important. It's important that we remember that vaccines are not some of big pharma companies' way of making money, right? We have to understand it is a gift of modern medicine that is there. We should not take it for granted, and it's imperative that we protect our children every day, and we stay informed and make sure that we're committed as a nation to continue to vaccine our next generation.
Definitely, sir. Wonderfully, you have covered like entire session, and I hope the message what we are trying to convey will reach as many as people should be. So it was wonderful interacting with you. Thank you for being a part with us, like sharing your expertise, time with us.
Thanks again to Human Biologicals Institute to give me this opportunity. These are common questions that I constantly
Yes,
answer in the OPD basis, but it's
yes.
nice that I have an opportunity to discuss all of these questions in the open. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, sir. So, while concluding the program, thank you for all being a part of Immunize Talks. We hope that today's session was very informative and valuable in spreading awareness on protecting what matters most, your child's health and vaccine. A special thanks to Dr. again for sharing his time, expertise, and insight with us today. For those who would like to revisit the program, the video will be available on our official website, social media platforms. Please follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do like, share, and spread the word to as many as including your friends, colleagues, and relatives. Until we meet in our next live talk, stay healthy, stay aware, and please take care good of you.